I'll try that again. Okay, let's try that again. All right, hi everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and I'm just going to put up the link quickly. Just bear with me. There we go. All right, and for those of you who are watching this for the first time, let me give you a quick idea of what we do, just so that you are aware. Hi, Charlotte, good to see you. The first part of the broadcast, I always try and do news and views and updates for the viewers. And as you can see, I'm running behind a bit today. And so we will be doing that first. And if you want to just join in when we're doing the actual topic, the time for that is below the video. If you look on the notes on the video below, it's going to say news and views and updates, this from 0 to this time, and then it says this time to the end, we'll be doing the actual topic. And the topic today is, what do you see? What I'm trying to do today is talk a little bit about our attitude and how our attitude affects how we see the world. And I'm sure that some of you have got examples of that one. All right, so that's what we're going to be doing. But first of all, we're just going to be doing some updates. Hi, Jody. Good to see you as well. And I'm just going to get the screen sorted out here. Wish that I could do this beforehand, but I can't. So, yeah, life just doesn't do it the way you want it to sometimes. And yeah, you got lots of examples. All right, fine. That's what we like. I just, by the way, in terms of news and views, and Jody, you've probably given me a note on this before, but could you just do it again today, so that when I recap the notes that I remember this one as well, is that for those of you who know Ange in Vegas, Angela, the very funny Angela. Hi there, Beth. I don't know if I mentioned it to you, but she managed to get herself a house. And she didn't just get any old house. She got herself a huge house. And it's just amazing. I'm just so happy that she did that for herself. And that was a major step out of her comfort zone. So it's so funny. I'm busy downsizing, and she went and upsized big time. So I think that's awesome. And I said to her, yes, it's a pretty awesome step. And I really recommend, I have to say that to anybody. I know that it's out of some people's, even out of some people's vision, but, I don't care how small a place it is, buy something to live in as early as you can. It'll be a difficult process, and it'll be difficult sometimes to keep it all together, but I don't think there is a better investment, quite honestly, just in, yes, exactly, in terms of equity, because what it does is it makes sure that you save. And I can tell you that in in my reality, I actually took some inheritance money to buy, and I was lucky in that. But I put almost all of my inheritance into buying a property. And when I look at it now, it was the best thing I could have done with the money, because I don't think, I would be where I am today without having invested that money that well. And when it's sitting in a house, you can't spend it. You know what I mean? Once it's sitting in the house, you can maybe leverage it a bit, but you can't actually spend it. Erin, just so pleased to hear the news. I was just about to start on the news and updates and things, so that is awesome. I'm so glad that you're here. And I will try and give the best rendition of what you told us, and just correct me where I get it wrong. Yeah, the real thing about buying property is that even if it's an apartment, you know what I mean? I say even if it's an apartment, and I know that's beyond a lot of people as well. Quite honestly, there is values Yeah, there is value in doing that. Yes, Jody, you've always regretted you weren't in a position to buy 20 years ago. That's right. I want to say that had I not bought 20 years ago, I wouldn't be in the enviable position that underneath the video, Nana. Hi, video. Yeah. And you don't want it there? I don't know how to solve that, I'm afraid. If anybody else knows, perhaps they can tell her. It sounds to me like, have you got a screen minimized or something that it would create that? So I've I've not come across that problem myself, so I don't know how to fix it. I tell you what you could do, Nana, in the top right-hand corner, have you got 3 little dots? Yes. Are you on a mobile or on your PC? Okay, if you're on your PC, click on those 3 little dots, and the second thing down says pop out chat. If you click on that, it will pop the chat out on its own, and you can position it wherever you want to. Okay, or go to Chrome. I must admit I use Chrome, so try that first, Nana, and then if not, I will talk you through that second idea later. All right, so hi there, Boob. Good to see you. So I just wanted to start by Erin is here in the room with us, so she can update where I get this wrong. But we had some great news about Erin this week, which was that all her tests came back in such a way that she is able to dramatically drop her medications. And the good news about it all is that they didn't find what they were looking for. And I guess that to me is always good news. You know something, Erin, I so relate to that because if you remember a year ago, I was having tests done and they didn't find what they were looking for either. And I can remember, I know the what you've been going through. I'm glad that Chrome is good for you, Nana. Good. You know what I mean. I had to wait 3 months to get the answer to the questions they were asking, and trying to find out what was going on with me. And I know that that day when I went in for those results was an incredible feeling. So I know you're not out of the woods, honey, but I'm hoping that you're one step closer. Hoping that you are one step closer to being where you want to be, which is healthier than you have been, and to get the clearance to go back to live your life. So, and I wanted to just also say that Lauren, as you know, got home. Her sister was sent home as well, for those of you who've been keeping track of that. What else? For those of you who weren't on the lunchtime one, I did hear from Oz this week, and he's still alive, and we're still in touch. And Lauren is doing pretty well. I think, the way I said it at lunchtime is there's this incredible thing that happens for any of you who unfortunately have been hospitalized for any length of time, like Erin or Lauren. You have this incredible situation where, you're in hospital and you're being sort of waited on hand and foot sort of thing for a long time, although you got all the downsides of being in a hospital. But there is an upside to being in hospital. You don't have to worry about who's going to do the laundry or anything, or tidy up or do those sort of things. But then you go home, and that's so exciting to go home. And like anything else, I think there comes a time when you sort of fluctuate a bit once you get home. You got to settle into that routine again. Do any of you know what I'm talking about? So I'm just pretty sure that Lauren is in that stage now. It's a bit like, getting married in the honeymoon stage, and then you get into reality. Yeah, you were in just for a week. Yeah, that's right, even for a week, and it really is an adjustment. Yes, so I think all thoughts and prayers go out to Lauren as she readjusts. And if you remember, at the same time, she had her sister suddenly in crisis, and hi there. How are you doing, Leah? She had a sister in crisis at the same time, and she had her mum in crisis at the same time. So, she's been through an awful lot in the last couple of months, as has Jodie. I mean, if you think about it, Jodie's been in hospital or under care since January, I think, Erin, if I've got it right. And so it's important. You go home and then life is happening again all of the time. Yes, exactly. So there you are. Let's just let's do that. So I just wanted to make sure that you all understand. So we got really good news, as I said, with Angela, and then we've got these other things going on the other side. I haven't heard from Becca this week, so I can't update you. We know we've got both Nana and Bill and Pat dealing with family members who are not well. So our thoughts and prayers go out for those. Sorry, everybody's congratulating Leah, and I don't know on what, so somebody can fill me in, that would be awesome. And then obviously she's here so we can give her congratulations, but I don't know what we're congratulating her on. On 2,000 subs, well done. Yes, I know how much hard work that is. Yeah, I really want to say something, Leah, that, I've got to congratulate you because you've been through that period where, you must sort of, you start to wonder, should I really be doing this? All right. And to still get to 2,000 subs is awesome. Oh, that's good news to hear. It's good to hear that he's gone home. All right, so Nana, that is wonderful to hear. But what you're saying is that just until they can find where that blood clot is that right? Okay. Leah, I'm not sure what you said, but they retracted the comment, whatever it is. Okay, well, we'll still keep him in our thoughts and prayers, Nana, because that's important, all right? And also, as you all know, if you've been watching, that Bill and Pat welcomed baby boy Gage last week, and he came in at just over £7 1 ounce, I believe. So that is absolutely wonderful. I think that's about all that I have in the way of birthdays and anniversaries. If any of you know that I've missed one, please let me know. Just in terms of one step at a time, I am pleased to report that and I forgot to mention it when Linda was on at lunchtime, or maybe I did, but not while she was on. Anyway, I did manage to get my boxes. You've eaten the chicken fingers, right? And they have no. Anyway, I did get the boxes downstairs, which was a major step forward. Plus, yesterday, I've been sick with some sort of flu this week. I don't know if you can see that I'm not at my sparkiest. But the interesting thing was I did decide, okay, fine, this is ridiculous. I need to change my thinking. And this is part of the reason why I'm doing this broadcast, because I've always found that, we can turn every situation in life into a learning moment if we choose to. And that is about the attitude. I need to change the attitude. Yes, actually, that's true, Leah, that you had a broken, was it a hand? What did you do? A broken... Well, thanks, Boo. Yeah, I don't know what happened to me. A humorous. Now there you go. That's very, very intellectual for those of you who know where your humerus is. It's near your ulna. That's the clue. Two places and a dislocated shoulder. I mean, that really is, but I presume they've relocated your shoulder, right? No, your humerus and ulna. I thought your humerus and ulna were here. Yeah, they're in your upper arm. I thought they were in. Okay, Jody, could you have a look and tell me what the two bones are in your lower arm? For some reason, that's where I thought your humerus and ulna were, which goes to show I don't know. Right. It's nothing funny about a funny bone. Why somebody called it a funny bone was because it was peculiar, not because it was funny. Haha. Radius and ulna. Oh, there you go. Humerus and what else? So I was half right. It was the ulna is in the lower hand, but it's the radius and ulna. Thank you very much. Okay, Jody, don't worry. So I am very sad to hear that you did all of that, but I heard that you went straight back. You went straight back to to VidCon when you did it, and the other thing I wanted to see or talk about was Alice came on, and I didn't realize that she also hit a problem during VidCon. So that's quite something. Yeah, let's get back to what we were doing, because otherwise I'm going to get out of track for today's, but maybe we can go back to this a bit later. I want to give points to Jody, because she did actually keep her commitment, and she went and got out her sketch pad and started to sketch. So well done, Jody. That's a step forward for you. Beth has been going to weight training, which I thought was incredibly intelligent, because she started eating properly, but then went to weight training at the same time, which I thought was really a clever thing to do, because that allowed her to... Hi, Alyssa. How you doing, honey? So that what happened there is she's now turning that extra calorie input into muscle, which is awesome. I thought that was really clever of you, Beth. Contrary to what you thought. You thought I would be nagging you about that, but that's not true. All right. So what else? What other news did we get on the good news? I'm trying to remember. Yes, I can see it's Ali. Yeah. Well, here we go. Here we go. Thank you very much, Jody. For those of you who didn't know, the humerus is the long bone in the upper arm. It is located between the elbow joint and the shoulder. At the elbow, it connects primarily to the ulna, which is what I said before, and the flank here. So, Ali, good to see you here. I can't believe you're almost 19, Ali. That's scary to me, because I think obviously I first heard about you when you were about 13, when I started broadcasting. So, Ali, I got to tell you something strange. I remember when I turned 18, I burst into tears, and my mum was really upset about it. And she said, "Why are you crying?" I said, I've just turned 18. And she said, so why are you crying? And I went, because now I've got to be sophisticated. And I don't know if you relate to that at all, Ellie, but it was like, I did not want to be sophisticated. And then she laughed at me, Ellie, and she said, don't worry, I don't think you ever will be. And I said, okay, fine. Yeah, I don't know why, Ellie. I had a feeling you'd relate to that. It's like, I liked being a kid. It was like, I didn't want to grow up that much. So, I was a bit of a tomboy as well. So, becoming sophisticated wasn't really what I what I wanted to do, much to the disappointment, I guess, of certain people in my family, but never mind. And as a lot of you know, the kid in me stayed alive and well for the rest of my life. So, Ali, I just want to tell you, just be who you are. And that was our broadcast at lunchtime today about how many of us are so much happier for just being who we are rather than, trying to fit in with everybody else. And now we're allowing other people to fit in with us rather than the other way around. So that's a good one. So today we're going to be talking in a little while about what do you see in life? What do you see? And I'm going to be reading a number of quotes to you. And what I want to know is, what do you see? Oh, that's right. Ali taught us how to do the smoky eye, and Liz did as well. Yes, I remember that, Ali. That was very kind of you. And I know that everybody taught me how to do, Liz also, I think it was, taught me how to do or was it, no, wait a minute. Was it Alice that taught us how to do the contouring? I can't remember who it was now, but I remember we had a lot of fun learning how to do that. Yeah. So, they're good memories of those days. All right. So today, first of all, let me welcome the people who may be ghosting. And I say that because what we have discovered is, and it has happened for a long, long time, awful lot of people watch the program, but don't actually come into the room. You know what I mean? They actually watch it, but don't come in and make comments and things. So I always like to welcome the ghosters. So, and the reason why I say that is because we had yet another ghoster or two come in at lunchtime today, and because of the subject that we were doing. So I was really delighted about that. And so to me, the ghosters, you are always welcome. And if you want to stay a ghoster for the rest of your life, you go right ahead. We are here just to try and help people. And we try and find the topics that hopefully will be able to get you to see life slightly differently. So what I would like to say is, if you are ghosting, if you have a topic or a suggestion for a broadcast that you'd like me to think about, please write to me at DearMamaSal@gmail.com. And I won't mention your name unless you tell me it's okay to do so. By the way, if you do come into the actual broadcast, I only mention the names of the people that, I know are pretty okay with me mentioning their names. And if I see a subject that I think might be a little bit difficult for somebody, if it's made public, I will actually ask them whether they want me to talk about it or not. The other thing is, know that when I come off the broadcast, I actually disconnect the live chat, so people can't see, who's been in the chat. It takes anything up to about 5 minutes to clear that off, so just be aware of that. So I think that's covered all those sorts of bits of it. For those of you who don't know me, know that I am not a therapist or any sort of licensed whatever. The broadcasts we do are about people's experience and my experience in life. And we're going to be doing a little bit of a mini workshop as usual. So from that point of view, please grab a piece of paper and a pencil in case you want to take a note if you're that sort of a person. I see a couple of people saying that, we should do another makeup thing, but what on what? What is it that you want to learn how to do? You can use a crayon anytime you like. Yeah. Actually, it's amazing what you can do with crayons. Yes, Liz did smoky eye with us as well. Yes, I remember her doing that, as did Ali. Ali did it on Nana one day, right? And yes, Alice did the contouring. Okay, I wasn't totally wrong on that. Eyeliner. I mean, eyeliner's eyeliner. I mean, I understood the contouring and the smoky eye because they require technicalities. But eyeliner is eyeliner. I mean, you just, draw it on for those people. Okay, Jody, let me do that. Just do that again. If I can just do that. Hang on a second. And my ability to make you a mod appears to have gone. Well, Jody, you actually are showing as a mod here, so I'm not quite sure what's going on, but don't worry about it. Yeah, it's got a wrench next to your name, so no idea. You know something, Boob? I would happily talk cabinet making and woodwork. Yes. It's a big joke with me that people have said to me, you wouldn't, they know I've got a garage full of tools, and they say things like, you wouldn't by any chance happen to have a router? And I go, yeah, 5 of them. Which one would you like? What size do you need? So, that's really quite strange. Yeah, the eyeliner one, or brows, I don't know why. To me, there are so many videos on that on YouTube. And, to me, I don't know. I just, you, so help me understand why you would want that done. When you can, everybody, if they want to, they can just go and look at probably 10,000 videos on those things. All right. Yeah. So I'll certainly, and then the question is, where would we do it, right? Yeah, see if we can get Jody a new wrench, right? All right, so here we go. Let's start, and I wanted to just start the program. We're already at 28 minutes, Jody, in fact, 29 by the time this starts. So today we're going to be talking about what do you see? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a quote, and what I'm going to do is to have you tell me, what do you see from the quote? All right. So the first one says, enthusiasm, a little thing that makes a big difference. Where in your life have you seen that enthusiasm made a difference for you? That's my first one. And have you ever found that a lack of enthusiasm had a big difference as well? Right? The reason I ask that is because for some reason, people seem to think that enthusiasm is something you've either got or you haven't got. And I would like to suggest that for a lot of people, we need to understand. You hear a beeper? I don't. No, and it might have been my watch, but I don't think so. No, not that I'm aware of. But anyway, um, so how many of you, excuse me, how many of you have found that enthusiasm can make the difference between how your day goes? Like how much energy you put into yourself will determine how much energy you have. I wonder if that made sense. All right. So if you get up and you go, okay, fine, I am really tired. And the reason I'm talking about this in some way is because I got sick this week. And what I realized was that, I needed to do something to start helping myself get better because I just didn't have any energy for so many days. And it happens to me every now and then, and it really drives me insane. Well, no, not literally. So what happened was I had to really reprogram myself to have some energy back again. And the way that I did it was actually to say to myself, in, at the start of every hour, I need to get out of bed, not lie in bed and be sick, but get out of bed and do something. And I'm not allowed to go back to bed for at least 10 minutes. And that sounds ridiculously easy, but you have no idea how difficult that was. But I managed it. And then I knew if I didn't do that yesterday, I wouldn't be able to do the broadcast today. So you understand, I had to work at my enthusiasm yesterday. Yes, taking a few minutes to get your positive thinking going. And I was thinking, I do have my television on, but I think, yeah, but it would have the news on. It doesn't have construction on, as far as I know. Let it go, boob. It's gone. Mm. Hi, Sharon. Good to see you. I actually forgot to turn the sound off my television. So I would really recommend that you check in every morning and see, what do you say to yourself first thing in the morning? Do you give yourself an enthusiastic, hi, how are you doing? You're doing great. Let's go and do what we said we were going to do today. Or do you go, oh gosh, I am so tired. I don't want to get out of bed, and just stay in that mood. And we were talking at lunchtime about how long it takes to get out of bed. And the general consensus was that most people, when they get real, because that was the subject, agree that it takes about 2 hours to get up, get dressed, and get everything ready to start the day properly. And I thought that was interesting that it took 2 hours. Yes, some people pray each morning, all right? And that's how they adjust their thinking in the morning, same as people who pray at night, all right? They also will adjust their thinking and let go of problems that way. So praying is a wonderful thing for those of you who have faith. That is wonderful. And for those of you who don't, you do your version, which is either, some sort of positive input or, how many of you do affirmations? How many of you have affirmations, positive sayings that you say to yourself during the day or when you get up in the morning? Very important things. Yeah, Sharon's saying that the older she gets, the longer it takes to get up and going. Yeah, I found that since I've retired, it's amazing. It's amazing how that reality of how long it really takes, not when I'm pushing myself, oh my gosh, I've only got 10 minutes to get ready, but now I've got all day to get ready if I want to. It's like, how long does it really take? And I try not to let it take too long, but it was interesting how many people on the broadcast at lunchtime said 2 hours. I thought that was interesting. All right, next one. What do you see when I say positive attitudes create a chain reaction of positive thoughts? Now, for me, when I read that, I think, which comes first? Does your positive attitude create your positive thought? Or do your positive thoughts create your positive attitude? I think we become what we think about. Hmm. What do the rest of you think? I think that's the wrong way round. That's just my thought. And we were talking about that at lunchtime today as well, which is, you're allowed to not agree. And our discussion at lunchtime was, how long, at what age did you start disagreeing with your friends? So to you, I think so too. I think your thoughts affect your attitude. So if you are constantly giving yourself negative thoughts, you're going to have a negative attitude. Yes, Leah's saying absolutely you are what you speak. I think, Leah, it's deeper than that. I think you are what you think. And sometimes you don't speak that. How many people do you know that talk a happy story, but actually what they're thinking is negative? All right. And so they actually pretend that they are in a better space than they are, but it's not coming out of a reality. So therefore, the even the good thoughts are not that way. Okay. So Leah's saying, well, what you speak to yourself, yes, and that is the most important conversation of any conversation, I think, in any day. What are you telling yourself? Are you telling yourself? I had to have quite a chat with Jody about this, by the way. Jody, am I allowed to tell the story about which comes first, right? Yeah, it definitely doesn't need to be out loud. Yeah, we know that one. So, I was thinking if I can give, Jody was just giving me permission to tell that story, but Jody was saying that to me at one point yesterday, she must be feeling better because she did something creatively. And I said, wow, which way round is it? Is it because you pulled out the paper and started to sketch that you feel better? Or is it you feel better so you pulled out the paper and started to sketch? Does that make sense? And my belief is that probably it was because she pulled out the creativity that she started to feel a bit better. Yeah, Erin's saying you are what you feel. I think you are, yes, your mood, right? And Nana's saying you speak 120 words a minute and you think about 1,500. And Boob, forever with a smile on his face, says, if you talk to yourself and you answer yourself and the answer is wrong, do you have the right to be mad at yourself? That's called accountability. Yeah, I think so. Yes, Jody, and for those of you listening on the replay of this one, she's saying, yes, true. My mind was distracted from my pain, and I was only concentrating on that drawing. You see, again, you remember what I said, if ever you are overwhelmed, if ever you are having problems with overwhelm and your mind going too fast, one of the things I really recommend is open up a book and start reading, because what will happen is the book will focus your mind on the story, and therefore all that extraneous stuff will stop because you're reading the story. If you can't read a full page focused, you got a problem. And the other thing I've noticed, if you read that one page properly, you probably will end up falling asleep. So yes, I find that when I start doing art, I'm not worried about the housework or packing or doing, or downsizing or where am I going to live or anything like that. I'm just concentrating on what color paint am I going to mix here and what am I going to mix it with, and you know that's really important. That it just cuts everything else out. Sharon's saying, but that she reads and then she doesn't put the book down until she's finished. Yeah, that's 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 power reading. Now, I do that when I've got enough time to do it. When I go on vacation, I can do that. I take about 3 days where I read, sleep, read, sleep, read, sleep, eat, read, sleep, eat. And then I will actually get into just reading, and I can read and eat, more than I sleep. And then I know I'm doing much better. Yeah, but it really is. If you think about it, Boo, when you're reading your car magazines, what it's doing, it's using the theater of your mind, if you like, because as you're reading, you're seeing those pictures. Am I correct? Not just the ones that are in the magazine, but as you read about the torque of a car, you can sort of feel yourself going around the corners, right? If they're talking about, okay, it does, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, you sort of almost feel yourself go back in your chair as you can feel that happening. Whenever I read, and it's got bucket seats or something, I can remember my days of being, in a single-seater car. Not the bucket seats do that, but I know that zoom, zoom. Whenever I read about what sort of seats it's got, I always think about those seats that I had when I was in a single-seater. And it's sort of like, it's very important because we need to stimulate our minds. And what happens is so often we just keep doing the same old, same old, same old. I'm pretty sure that Leah and Alice will tell you that going to something like VidCon, which is the big video convention down in Anaheim, that stimulates your creative side in a totally different way, because they got so many different ways. It's like for those people who like knowledge, there's so much there to stimulate your learning senses. When if you like music and lights and things, there's a whole area on the bottom level that's full of an exhibition space that is all fancy lights and all the gizmos in the world and everything else. So that's all catered to. So what I found, and then right outside there's a whole lane of nothing but food trucks. And for those people who like food, that really stimulates that side. So they do that convention, I think, really, really well, because there's so many different levels, and because of that they attract people of all sorts of ages. You understand? There are an awful lot of young kids under 15, and then there are an awful lot of middle of the road site ages, and then they're old farts like me. Not too many, but and I definitely wouldn't put Leah in my bracket. So it's it's like it caters to so many different personalities because of that, which I think makes it a very well run show. However, it is information overload. There is no way you could ever take it all in, even if you tried. I found that every time I went, I tried to take in less rather than more, because I wanted to really enjoy the process. But that was just my reality. All right, so here's our next quote. What do you see when you hear the words, "You can't have rosy thoughts about the future when your mind is full of blues about the past"? You can't have rosy thoughts about the future when your mind is full of blues about the past. How many of you can feel that one? And what do you see? What period of your life do you see when you hear that? I was talking to somebody yesterday, and I was saying, yeah, Nana, you need to leave the past behind, but have you? Yeah, Boob says, I see a bad part of life, yes. So I believe that we all intellectually know that we should not continue to live our past, but from your truthful reality, how many of you can say you still do? Because to me, it's the one is the have the positive attitude, but the other is let's deal with reality. And so I think the important thing is to make sure that the past doesn't overwhelm your present. And, it's like what happened to you yesterday, you cannot change. Yeah. And Nana, there have been so many times I've heard you talk about your past, all right? And so the words of Nelson Mandela that Nana's quoting here, he once said, Nelson Mandela said, if he doesn't leave his past behind, he'll still be in the prison. But it's like, I believe, my belief is we need to take the past and put it where it deserves to be, which is in our past. But they also say, if I can give you that quote, that it is very important to remember history, because if we don't remember history, we will repeat it. And so I would also say that quote. So what I believe is there's a balance, and the balance needs to be don't stay in the past. You don't have to do anything, Nana, all right? Have to immediately put the guilt on it, but you may choose to do that. You may choose to remember your past, but move on. Yes, exactly. Well done. Yes, honor it, see it for what it was, but don't let it ruin your life, Jody's saying. Excellent. Okay, so Nana and Jody, thank you for the input, because that's all helps. Now, Boob says, I have trouble forgiving people. Only part of bad life events can I let go of. If it doesn't involve someone who did me wrong, I can let it go. Okay, so good point, Boob. How many of you have had that happen, which is you are pretty good about certain things, but if somebody has done you wrong, you can't let that go. Funny enough, this is what I was talking about yesterday at one point, because I was saying that my ex-husband, I had a lot of anger going on about that. Lot of anger. And eventually, when I had got tired of being angry because it wasn't getting me anywhere, I had to remind myself, Boob, that, I loved that man at one point. I loved him very deeply. And in fact, the reason I was so angry was because he didn't keep to his marriage vows, if you get my drift. And it was like, this is wrong. I love this man and I wanted him to be happy, but it was conditional. I wanted him to be happy with me. Right. And, at one stage, Boob, I don't know if this makes sense. I woke up one day and I said, you know something? I'm just going to hope that he is happy, because it no longer involves me, but I would wish him to be happy. And, I think about all the people that have done me wrong, and I believe you me, I've had my fair share. And did he repeat the mistake more than once? Yeah, about 4 times, I think, Nana. I wasn't the last either. So, I look at it and I go, when we hate people, they really have control over us. I think that's the thing I'd like to say. And it's when we stop hating them, when we can actually say, you know something, I don't like their behavior, but they wouldn't have behaved like that if they knew any better. And that's what I tried to do, Boob, is I tried to see some compassion in there. And I really don't think that people, very few people, I'm not saying all, but I think very few people get up in the morning and think, I want to be a really nasty person today. I don't think it's their choice. I think a lot of things that people do that are nasty is it's a reaction to something they have heard or felt. How many of you have had that happen where you were actually in a really good mood, but somebody said something and then you just came back with a reaction because they hurt you? And afterwards you thought, gosh, I really wish I hadn't done that. And then you justify it by saying, yeah, but, they attacked me and that's why I did it. And, I'm now learning that's not why I did it. I did it because I lost control. The fact that they lost control and did what they did to me is one thing, but I am responsible for whether I lose control. That is not their responsibility, that's mine. And so I have found that my life has changed a lot since I've understood that one and practice it more and more. Not perfect, but now I now what I say inside, Boob, is I will not let you control me this way. If I start feeling that I'm resentful or I'm angry or I'm hurt or whatever, I then go, okay, they have control. Yes, Boob saying, how many of you relate to that one? You put your mouth in motion before your brain is working, right? Yeah, and that's, I won't do it anymore, Boob, very rarely anyway. What I try and do is when I can feel myself getting triggered like that, I say, excuse me, I have to get out of this conversation. I have to get out of this conversation, or I choose to get out of this conversation because I don't want to say something I'm going to regret. And that's having control of who I am. Yes, but we have to talk about this now and get it sorted out. No, we don't. No. I used to do that, and I used to say things that I can never, ever take back. So here's the thing. I am not going to be talking about this until I'm in a better frame of mind and not emotionally charged. When I can think rationally, then I will have this conversation. And I'm sorry if that doesn't suit you, but it is what I have to do to protect myself. So that is an attitude, I think. That is an attitude that I have been working on a lot. And I really would recommend it. So how many of you would agree that happiness is not a state to arrive at, but rather a manner of traveling? That happiness is not a state to arrive at, but it's actually the journey, right? It's a manner of traveling. Well, I'm glad that a couple of you do relate to that story because, to me, it's important. And that's why I do try to tell stories about my own fallibility, because I think we do need to just see that we all do these things. It's not just everybody else is wrong. Happiness is the trip. Yes, I quite agree. I'm thinking about all the research and everything else that I'm doing. It's interesting because I realize I'm learning so much that I didn't know. And Nana's saying she'd rather be content than rich. Yeah. Boob's saying he'd rather be lucky than smart. I got a feeling you're a little bit of both, isn't it? Yeah, it's okay. I understood it. So happiness is something that we need to work on every day. And not pleasing others is something that we have to understand every day. All right. And, I really realize that doing things at my speed doesn't please everybody because they think I'm being, whatever. And it's okay with me. It's like, all right, they can think that. But for me, doing things the way that I want to do it so I feel comfortable is actually, yeah, it's really important. And Kerry's saying that she's working on being happy in life generally. All right, not letting all the external factors. How many of you used to get up in a good mood, or you thought you did, and then the first person you met put you in a bad mood? Well, that wasn't the other person's doing. It was you didn't have a boundary that you could keep those negative thoughts out with, right? You just allowed everybody else's mood to affect yours. Can you see that now, Kerry? And because once you can see that that really is what creates unhappiness, is, yeah. Kerry, for those of you who don't know, Kerry's got all sorts of things going on with her life at the moment, including the fact that her car broke down, and she's got to make a decision. Does she mend the car, or does she get a new to her car, which could have even more problems than her present car, for all we know, but we don't know. So those are difficult decisions, and I'm pretty sure that, Kerry, you didn't have it in your budget to be replacing your car right now either. So, this is where it's really important. Yeah, and it's funny, Boob, because I said, how much do you trust the person who mends your car? Because I've got a really good relationship with the person who mends my car, and they've been mending my car for many, many years and looking after it. I literally will go and say, look, this is the third time I've had to do a fairly major repair. Is it time to sell the car? And he keeps saying, Sal, do not sell this car. You spend maybe $1,000 a year on it, if that. And the reason it is only $1,000 is because you look after it. And he keeps saying to me, cars today are not built like this one. They're not built. The only things that go wrong on your car, are the things that are wearing out, and that's you would expect in an older car. So, what I was saying to Kerry is, get the advice of your mechanic person, if you can trust them. And the only way you find out if you can trust them is to actually ask them questions like that. And I say that because I'm amazed how many times I've been to my mechanic and had a problem. And they literally, opened up my car and they, did one thing and the whole thing was fixed in a heartbeat. And they said, we're not even going to charge you for that. And haven't. And that's the reason I continue to go to them, because not everything to them is a, $5,000 repair. They're not looking just to make money out of me. There are a number of times when they've said this could cost you about X, and I've ended up with a bill less than X. And that to me builds trust, not a lack of trust. And I think that's true of any service that you have from anybody. Do the people give you more than you expect rather than less? So think about that. And that includes relationships, right? Yes, Boob. I know I have a good. Actually, he's a shop owner, and to me that's really important. And the funny thing is, I even have a backup one who desperately wants my business as well. And I trust him as well. But it's funny. I don't change suppliers unless I have a reason to, even if it means that I've got to travel farther or do whatever. I find that the one that is probably the better one to have. And if I move, and Kerry, that's something that I've always done. When I move, I will ask the people that live there, who do they use and why? And especially somebody who's maybe been there 10 years, and been servicing their car for 10 years. Who do they use and why? And if 3 people mention the same mechanic or garage or whatever, that's where I will go. Because I do the same thing, by the way. If I'm, in the days when I used to travel and I had a dog that needed to go into daycare, what I would do is I would actually phone all the different boarding kennels and say, if you couldn't use your own kennel, which one would you use? Good night, Kerry. And I would find that, most of them would mention 1 or 2 kennels. All right. So I ask people who know what they're talking about. I would ask garage owners, if you couldn't use your own shop, where would you take your car to get it fixed, Kerry? That's another good question. And ask 2 or 3 mechanics that, and you'll find out which is the best shop in town. That's another thought. Might not be the cheapest, but to me, it's like, if the people that have been around a while are using them, there's a chance that's probably a good one. All right, so here's another one. Good night, Terry. Thank you for being here, and thanks for your input. All the best with that decision. It's not easy. I was saying to Kerry at lunchtime, that she needs to get the input of the mechanic, but the bottom line is she gets to decide. So if her gut is telling her get a new to her car, then that is her decision. Nobody can make her make the wrong decision because it's the right decision for her. And that's when you do it that way, you end up feeling good about the decision. You don't end up blaming other people. Well, the mechanic told me to buy a new one and now I'm unhappy. If you made the decision, took the input and made what I call an educated decision, if you did that and then you've decided, okay, but my gut still says buy a new car and the new car doesn't work out, you end up not blaming anybody else but yourself. And that's accountability in my view. So the only limit to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today. I know this one. The only limit to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today. How many of you can see that picture where your fears of what might happen controlled the way that you did something? Can any of you see that picture in your life? I don't know why. I can remember somebody saying to me once, I don't know whether I should leave my job or not. And I said, oh, that's interesting. And yeah, but I don't want to make the wrong decision. I said, well, here's my reality. What I've noticed in life is if you are meant to leave your job, you're going to find that out a different way. And she said, what? I said, well, if you are meant to leave your job, you're going to find out a different way. If you decide not to make that decision, you're going to find out a different way. How many of you found that one? I don't know whether I should go and get this tooth fixed. And the next thing is something happens and you have to go and get that tooth fixed, right? It's not a maybe about it anymore. Anyway, I was having that conversation with that person and she said, that's an interesting thought. And she decided not to leave the job and got fired a month later. Or laid off or something. And she went, you were right, Sal. I guess I was meant to leave. And I said, you see, that's what I've learned. It's almost impossible to make a wrong decision in that way, all right? Because if that's what you're meant to do, life will bring it to you anyway. I wonder if any of you can relate to that one. It's really weird how those things happen. Jody was telling a wonderful story today. Can I tell the story about what happened to you prior to meeting Lionel, Jody? Yeah, Jody was telling me that prior to meeting Lionel, she was in a relationship that just, from what I can gather, and just correct me here, Jody, where I get it wrong, but she was putting in so much and it wasn't working, it wasn't working, it wasn't working. And eventually she realized that it wasn't working and stopped. And then almost, within 3 months, she met Lionel. And so what I said to her, maybe that relationship beforehand was just practice. So you could, find out the things you really needed in life. And then Lionel walked across your path and you go, yeah, it's meant to look like this, not like the other one. It's meant to look like this. This is what love looks like, So the question I'm trying to find out from you guys is, do any of you relate to that? Where what you thought was a bad thing actually turned out to be a good thing. I've been given permission to tell this story, so I want to, but it's about Lauren. And Lauren while she was in hospital, there was a guy that I don't know what his title was, Jody, but you know, he often, I don't think he was a nurse, but and I'm not quite sure what this official title was, but he often bought her food. And for those of you who are in the nursing business, you probably know what that title is, and I don't know. But anyway, she really had a thing for this guy. And, well, you know, all the time that she was in hospital, um, this guy, you know, just really made her day. And she'd get quite dizzy when he came around. You know, she'd spend all day waiting for him to hand food and so forth. So anyway, the interesting thing was that she, yeah, he wasn't a food provider. I think he was a food prep person. Did he work in the kitchens and then serve, I want to say the inmates, but you know what I mean, the patients? I think that's what he did. Anyway, but our Lauren was quite smitten by him. And she was almost keeping herself in hospital so she could be around him. Do you know that? I wonder if any of you can relate to that one. But she went out of her way to make sure that he had her number. And that's interesting. You know, she really, and made sure that he knew that she hoped that after she left that they could stay in touch. And the reality is that he hasn't. And you know, that is heartbreaking for her. But she found out the reason that he hasn't been in touch is because that he already has a girlfriend or a wife or something. Jody, help me here because I can't remember what that relationship was. But anyway, and how hurt Lauren was. Why didn't he tell me that at the beginning? And it was interesting because you can imagine the pain she's going through now. And I said to her, you know, the sad thing is, it's a girlfriend. Okay. The sad thing is, how many of you have been Lauren? How many of you have been that where you have imagined there is a relationship with somebody when there actually isn't? And how incredibly painful that is when the reality hits home. And, you know, it might not have looked the same from his side. Oh, twice already, Allie. Okay. Believe you me, I know this one in spades, Allie. Don't do it. You know, boy, Allie, I could spend a lifetime talking to you about where I got this one wrong. But you know, my heart went out to Lauren, but there's also that other part of me that now says to her, you know, Lauren, you created this. All right. Do you understand that? Yeah, you see, Alyssa, how nice that you'd be okay with that, right? But you know, it's like she created half the problem by her imaginings created something that is more than the reality. And boy, did I relate to that. But you know, what I wanted to do was actually be quite tough with her because it's like, you know, until you get this one, it's going to keep happening and it's not fun. It took me a long time to start dealing in a reality in terms of relationships. And I'd like to say that along the way, I met a few women that did it really well. You know, that really didn't get into that mind spin that I was in. Yeah, that's okay, Beth. Beth, let me know if you would like me to discuss the issue you had today. Okay, so Beth got caught into a pretzel thing today. And from what I gather from Beth, she has it happen quite a bit. It's called triangulation. Do any of you know what that is? I don't want to presume that you don't know, but I want to make sure that you all understand how it happens. and why you need to be really aware of not triangulating things, because it's very, very difficult. So triangulation, triangulation is where there are three different bits of puzzle, and you've got person number one. How can I do this in a way that makes sense? Okay, it's time for the paper again. And you know, once you know it's going on, it's easier to see. Okay, so you've got person number one, person number two, and number three. And what happens is you are person number one. When person number two wants to communicate to person number three, they do it through you. How many of you have been in that situation? That instead of talking to number three, they come to you, and you end up being the link. Have any of you been there? Now, Beth got herself into an absolute tailspin today. Yes, Amy, and it's good that you can see that. So the first thing I want to do, if you are number one and number two comes to you for information on number three, the proper answer is you may want to contact them and ask them that question. Get yourself out of the triangle. Does that make sense, everybody? You know, if they say, let's think of some of the things that people say. They say things like, I don't know why John isn't phoning me. Do you know why? The answer is you may want to phone John and ask him. It makes sense. Not, well, what I heard was da 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 da. The right answer is don't be the middleman. Now, most people will say, well, I don't want to do that because he doesn't like me very much. Well, you know, then don't use me as your go-between. Either have the courage to speak to that person directly. Now, the other thing that happened to Beth, and this one is a very difficult one. All right. Here, yes, and don't be number two either. Good point, Boob. Don't be the person that asks number one to talk to number two. You know, when you start doing that, say to that number one, I'm sorry, I shouldn't be asking you. I should be asking so-and-so directly. Now, here's where Beth got into a tailspin today. And yes, Beth, for those of you listening on the replay, just said she was scared. She's scared that neither of them will like me if I stand up. Oh boy, we all relate to that one, Beth. But Beth, let me explain what happened to you. Now, Beth is a kind person. we got that one. And this is Beth, and this is her daughter, and this is her husband. Now, the daughter is grown and pregnant, so you need to know that part of the story. And what happens at the moment is Beth, being the mother hen that she is, drives the daughter to work every day. That's her choice. Okay? So that is a relationship that they have, and she chooses every day to drive her daughter to work. But today, Beth got caught in a rainstorm, came home, and asked husband to please drive daughter. All right? Do you get that? What's going on now? So this was normal up until this point. And husband very kindly agreed to do that. But he said, but I'm leaving now. So what happened was that Beth then phoned her daughter and said, my husband's on his way to pick you up and take you to work. I hope you're ready. And that caused all sorts of trouble because the daughter wasn't ready. And what I suggested to Beth to think about for next time, because we all get into this trap. Next time, if you get caught in a rainstorm and you need hubby to do this, I would actually have suggested that you phone the daughter and say to the daughter, I've got caught in a rainstorm. I can't pick you up. Would you rather my husband comes and picks you up now, whether you're ready or not, or do you want to take a cab to work? Do you understand? That way, the daughter makes the decision, and the decision has to be right. And you have told the truth. And the fact that hubby is prepared to come and get her is also the truth. Well, you know, Beth, big hug, honey. Beth, the reason that we do these broadcasts is so we can hear stories like this and show people, because we all get caught like this, honey. This isn't just you. All right? This isn't just you. You need to understand that. And if you knew how to deal with it, you would have done it. Right? But how many times? Now, the interesting thing is that what I also heard in the story, which continued a bit, but I also heard that hubby is trying to protect Beth from being used by the daughter. All right? And so this is really an interesting thing, because you know, this happens all the time. I'm sorry, Nana, I did see it, but I need to finish this point before I can address that one. So to me, this is like, can you see that that hubby here is trying to protect his wife from what is happening with the daughter, because he obviously thinks that the daughter to some degree is using mother, which is probably true. All right, let me go back to what Nana said. And I'm sorry I couldn't address it immediately, but I'm trying to explain a point and read at the same time. Gets confusing for me, Nana. So thank you for giving me the heads up. So Nana's saying after 2 and 3 make up, that's here. Yeah, quite often they blame number 1. Yeah, that's also very true. How many of you had that happen? Well, Beth, it's just his opinion that you're a doormat, but I've got to ask you, in terms of the conversation that we had at lunchtime, is it true? Can you see that there are times when you really are a doormat to your daughter, who is an adult and more than capable of making her own decisions? There are times in some of the stories that you have told me that you really treat her like a 5-year-old, not like an adult. All right. Good night, Sharon. Yeah, isn't that true? And Boob saying people only miss the doormat when the mat is no longer there to wipe their feet on. Yeah. Yes, Beth, and that is the truth. You see, you don't trust your daughter will still have a relationship with you if you stand up to her. Isn't that sad? And you know, that is sad. How many of you can relate to what Beth's fear is? But you know, I also hear, Beth, and this is just listening to you, and you know that I will, you know, continue to listen to you for as long as you have issues, because we all do. That so often I hear that, you know, your adult daughter is not behaving like an adult. Yes, listen to Nana, all right? So Nana's been there. She understands. All right, she says you're parenting out of fear and guilt. You know, your job as a parent, if I can just remind you about this, and if I can, oh, I've packed it up, but if I'll try and find the quote for you, Beth, from the prophet. And the prophet said, I'm not talking about the prophet other than that's the name of the book. It's called The Prophet, and a book written by Gilbrain. And what he said was that you are given your children to teach them how to live a good life. That's why you're given children. But it is your job to let them go. You know, once you've taught them how to fly, it is your job to let go. And if you don't let go, they will not learn to do these things on their own. Yeah, Nana's saying, And by parenting out of fear and guilt, that only helps you, not the children. Exactly, Nana. That is the point. Yes, Boob's saying, people need to learn to help themselves or they will never be independent. Right. All right. And Jody's saying, what will happen, what she worries about, because that's Jody, all right? She got nothing else to worry about. What will happen if your daughter increases her demands on your time? Will there be a limit to what you will put up with? So, Beth, take a deep breath. Hear that everybody is trying to support you here. And we're not asking you to change unless you want to. All right? Yeah, it's a hard job. And Nana's saying she's, doing that now with Ali, and she's doing a great job. Yes, most people are far more capable of living their own lives than you think. Yes, Nana's going, I wish she needed me more. But it means you did a good job as grandmother. All right? I know you want to, Beth. And so your speed's going to be to do the right speed, Beth. Do you understand that? The reason you keep getting these little lessons coming back, you're working 2 jobs and run your household and her household, plus you take her to work and collect her back from work and do her shopping. Really, how many things? Did anybody do that for you when you were pregnant, by the way? Or is that what you wish somebody had done for you when you were pregnant? See, that's also part of the story, I think. Ali, the greatest thank you that you can give Nana, the greatest thank you is to continue to be your own person and to continue to be accountable for your own stuff and go, I made a decision today and it was a wrong one, but I'm so glad I made it because now I've learned what I need to do next time. And keep reminding Nana that she did the right thing to trust you. Now listen to this. So listen to the logic. Beth, there are times when I want to give you that. Here we go. Beth says, no, this was about, did any of the family help when she was pregnant? No, my family helped for 2 weeks. And then I said, thanks, but I need to learn how to deal with the twins on my own. So why are you not doing that for your daughter? Yeah, and Nana's saying, I could cry. It's so hard to let go, but she learned to with her one son, Mark. Yeah, Nana, it is the greatest difficulty to let go of people you love and trust that they... Yes, good point, Boo. So Beth wants to be independent. Her daughter does not. Why would her daughter want to lose the slave that she's got? And really, there are times when I hear that's what it is. You are so afraid to lose her. Yes. That is not a good place to be in, is it, Beth? I do this because if I don't, I might lose her. Yeah, I remember, so you understand that is true, Beth. You could lose her. And if that is the relationship, the only value you have to her is that of somebody who runs her around, does her cleaning and does this and does that for her. If that is your use to her as a mother, then I think, you need to know that to be true. And that is not who you are. That's not your job. Your job was to bring her up. Hi, Lizzie. That she loves you to death, it's in your head, or is it that she uses you that's in your head? Tell me which it is. What happens is when you do that to people, and some of you will know what I'm saying here. When you do too much for people, You actually weaken them. You don't strengthen them. All right, listen to what Ali says at 19. My mother did the same thing to me, but once she finally stopped and backed off, I did better, and our relationship got so much better. Yeah, and Boob's saying, Beth, from what I hear, you will not lose her. With the baby, she will need you only more. All right, so here is the thing. The thing is, we need a few boundaries in there. Yes, Ali is strong because the people trusted her to be self-sufficient. People gave her strength. Do you understand that? This is like, I trust you to make your own decisions, and I hope I've taught you well enough that you make good ones. That's really what the job is. She's always going to need you, Beth. You are definitely very useful. Yes, but the way, listen to what Nana is saying and what Ali is saying as a child. And I say as a child, Ali, I don't mean disrespect there, but but we've got grandmother and granddaughter in the room together. That's very unusual. So what you hear Ali say, and she is thankful for it, all right, is that Nana trusted her to and didn't make all the decisions for her anymore. Beth, I agree with you. Beth saying, yes, I used to watch her 5-year-old every day, and I don't do that anymore. I'm making progress. Yay. You are, Beth. And that's what I want you to give you a big hug. But I also need you to listen to your husband, because in there, I believe there is some truth as well. And what I would do is change, I know that your conversation, your concern is that he's trying to protect you from what's happening here. And now that's putting a rift between these two. Right? Because obviously your daughter doesn't want you to stop helping her the way that you do, but your husband thinks probably he would get more of your time if you did. Think about that one, Beth. So you may want to have that conversation. And so to me, what happens when we do these triangulations? All right, listen to Beth, everybody's support system here. Beth says, every day for 4 years while taking care of my mother-in-law, I am exhausted. I understand my husband is trying to help me to understand. Yes, and what I want you to do, Beth, is give him a big hug and say, I hear you. I haven't quite got it worked out yet, but I'm working on it, and I hear you, and I'm looking at it. And it may take me a little while to change, but look what I've done this year already. And I'm working on these things one by one. But I hear you and I understand, and I love you to bits for trying to help me get all these things done. And every time that he does these things to try and help you here, Beth, make sure you reward that good behavior, because he's so scared of making it worse by enabling you. All right. Beth, did I ever send you that thing about the difference between enabler and a friend? All right, and listen to what Ali says. Wisdom from the 19-year-old here. It's better for her to know that you're there for her and for her to ask you for help rather than you burn yourself out trying to earn something that doesn't need to be earned. As her mom, she'll love you. Always. You may not be perfect and you may not do it all for her, but that should not be the reason why she loves you. And that, I've got to basically say it that simply, which is don't try and earn her love, Beth, because that isn't love. Boy, believe you me, I've done that. I have done that with male relationship stuff, trying to, earn their love. It doesn't work. I think Ali's wisdom on that comment was absolutely priceless. That's why I didn't bother to say any more about it, because it was a brilliant observation, Ali. And you're so right. I mean, it's like, but I think Beth needs to hear that from somebody of 19. All right, you can't earn love. You can manipulate it. All right, so that's a discussion as well. I want to make sure Beth doesn't feel she's out there on her own on this issue. How many of you? Yeah, Beth says she's right. Yeah, and we know she is. And you know she is in your heart of hearts. You're not a stupid person, Beth. But you know you have done so much in a short space of time. I'm not asking you to change it today, Beth. I'm asking you, keep looking at it. All right, keep looking at it. And keep asking yourself, what am I doing this for? Am I doing this so she will still love me? Or am I doing this because I have plenty of time in my life and therefore I can? Because what I hear is you run, 3 different jobs, look after a husband, your own house, and then also your daughter. And I don't know a mother in this room. Yes, Beth, that's all we ask of you, honey. All right? Keep moving forward for yourself and for your daughter and for your friends. Yes, honey, that is exactly it. Do not beat up on yourself. You know, the best thing you did today, Beth, was to talk about this. Do you know how many other viewers and listeners will have this happen to them in the coming weeks and hopefully will remember this diagram? And they'll go, excuse me, you're more than capable of asking number 3 yourself. So why don't you do that? You right? You don't need me to be answering these questions. You need, then it becomes secondhand information, and that's dangerous. Ask them directly, please. I've had it happen where people will phone me and say, how's John doing? I go, when did you last phone him? What? When did you last phone him? Beth, one of the greatest ways that you will never understand. Well, that's not true. Beth, I want you to know all that you are doing, both good and bad. Do you understand how much it is inspiring other people? All right. What I do here isn't about perfect people. It's about people learning something like triangulation, because that today could help another 5 people who are struggling with it and they don't realize it, but now they can see the visual. All right, that's what Boob said. When you can see it, it's easier. Am I right, Beth? Well, Boob, that is exactly the issue. Boob's saying, I feel that Beth is the type to take care of others more than she does for herself. She never has time for herself. A mother can take care of 10 children, but 10 children can't take care of one mother. But she knows that, Boob. That is where she was at. And by the way, she paid the price for it health-wise. And she, has learned a lot. She's done a great job in the time that she's been here. I'm amazed, quite honestly, at the things she has done, because she has done a great number of things to help herself. And that's why I want to make sure she's aware, but I'm not asking her to change. I'm asking that she just be aware of what it looks like. And now, Beth, every time it comes up, you're going to see the triangle and go, wait, hang on a second. Hang on. How do I not become the triangle in this one? I need to take myself out of the triangle and get them to communicate together. You see, that will help their relationship as well. The next time that your husband, you want to be your own star. Isn't that sweet? Yeah, I don't want to be a triangle. I want to be my own star. Yeah, Beth. And tell your husband that I'm trying, I'm working on not being a triangle, but it may take me a little bit of practice. So keep going. Right. And, Nana, you're so right. That's a problem, Beth. We all do, right? We all fall into this trap. Beth, this is not you alone. I am certain there are going to be so many people, and hopefully they will make comments, Beth, and thank you again, because you've, yet again shown another typical problem. Make your daughter the star and let her grow and show you how much you've taught her. Yes, I added that last bit on about and let her show you how much you've taught her. But yes, I agree with Nana. I'm sure you've taught your daughter some great things. And you're going, yeah, but she's about to have a baby. Right, I understand that. Beth, just want to give you a heads up. At what age do you tend to let go? Will it be when the baby is 3 months old? Or will you be saying, well, the baby's only 3 months old and she still needs some help? And then will it be at a year? Or will it be, well, the baby's only a year now and, she needs the help? You see, the truth is she's always going to need your help if you're prepared to give it. And that's what we want you to understand. Well, Nana, the reason that Ali, I do want to thank you for coming in and talking with us, because as usual, the wisdom of a viewer can help somebody. I've always said that I'm just the front guy here, right? I am just the front guy. I come up with the topics and I try and discuss them as best I can. But I really honestly believe that the viewers help each other. And it isn't about, oh gosh, you have to be older to have wisdom. As we've seen, the wisdom of a 19-year-old makes a whole lot of sense to me. And Ali, I'm very proud to have you in the family. And Nana, I am very proud of your influence and Rick's and obviously her mother's as well. But most of all, that, you knew that she was a smart cookie and that you taught her enough. And that's what Gilbrain said in The Prophet, which is it's your job to give them the tools. All right. It's your job to teach them right from wrong. It's your job to teach them how to set down their boundaries. It's your job to teach them these things, and then you let them go so they can prove it to themselves. Yeah, Boob's saying the show is just the pipeline and the chatters or viewers are the water in that pipe. Yes, I agree. I know you helped raise her for 8 years, or did she raise you? Yes, that's a very good question, Anna. I love the humor of that. Yeah. But, I also know from 6 years of listening to you talk about Ali that, you adore Ali at a level that is mind-blowingly beautiful. And I also know that you have a relationship, and that's why the grandmother-granddaughter relationship is so important to children, is because it's not the parental thing. The grandmother is such fun. You know what I mean? The granny is normally the fun person. And so, Lizzie, you missed it, but we were busy talking about the day you taught us about the what do you call it? Shadow eye. What is it called? Somebody help me. The eyeshadow thing. Smoky eyes. Thank you. Yep. Thank you, guys. Yeah, you missed that, Lizzie, because people still talk about that broadcast that you did for us. Yeah, we also talked about radius and ulna. But we were talking smoky eyes. Yeah. So, and the funny thing is, for those of you who weren't around, Lizzie did this demonstration for us, but the joke was when she agreed to do it, she didn't know how to do it. She especially went off and researched it all and then did it for us. So, that was typical Lizzie. And Lizzie, I've been meaning to ask you, because it came up today when I was thinking about you, funny enough. I'm so glad you came in, because I was wondering how the love life is going. Because, I like to update on that. Lizzie, it didn't matter that you had no clue of what you were doing. You taught us all how to do it. I've been doing it ever since, rightly or wrongly. But, I really want to thank you, because up until then, I really didn't have an idea. And the viewers are calling for how to put on eyeliner, but maybe Ali will help us with that, and brows. But yeah, I really don't have it. Personally, I don't have any need for those in my life at the moment. So, but Lizzie, it wasn't the fact that you didn't know, it's the fact that you were prepared to join in and do it. I think that was the fun thing, right? That to me was the important thing. Ali, the difficulty is that we would have to find a different platform to do it on, because no, we could do a hangout with video. Because in the old video, we used to be able to do that, right? In the old hangouts. It's going well. Good, Lizzie. That's all I need to know. You right? Are you happy? No, it wasn't all. I don't mean to pry, but yes, I do, Lizzie. Are you happy-ish? Scale of 1 to 10 type stuff, It's none of my business. Yes, it is. I care. I make it my business. Still very much in love. Okay, the grandmother in me likes it. Yes, you see, this is the funny thing. Who would have... Are we allowed to tell people yet who it is? Yeah, he's a good egg. Yeah, that makes me cry. I'm so happy, because how many times did I say to you, Lizzie, that your life is going to change. Things are going to start coming right for you. And it was so funny. And no, you do me a favor, Lizzie. Could you ask him? Because I really would like to be able to tell people, but I don't want to disrespect him either. So or maybe I should ask him, actually. Yeah, I know. Sorry. You see, I just did that. I just started the triangle here. All right. Jody, could you please just remind me to ask permission of Lizzie's boyfriend? I'll know what that is. Okay, so here we are. What picture do you see when we talk about letting go? Who is it in your life? Who is it in your life that you need to trust enough to sort their own problems out? You see, when you're constantly sorting out other people's problems, you are not teaching them to sort them out for themselves. Always give people options. All right? So, Beth, are you still around? Are you still here? I can't see that unless I change screens. Hang on a second. No, she's not here. Okay. Oh, yes, she is. Beth? All right. I'd like to give you something that may help you a little, if you would like it. I would like you to start asking your daughter questions. I want you to start getting her ready to look after herself. All right? So the sort of thing I would like you to have an honest conversation about what happened today or whenever this was. And for example, say, I feel that I did this the wrong way, right? Take ownership of it and say, in future, if I'm stuck, and my husband, I don't want to use his name because I don't have permission, but my husband chooses to help you, I'm going to get him to text you directly because I don't want to be caught in the middle of this. So then he's going to ask you, I'm, something's happened. Your mom can't get you. I'm offering to come get you if you would like, but I would need to come now. Is that okay? Or would you rather get a cab? Explain to her how it's going to happen in future. Plus, I would like to suggest that you are then teaching them to have a better relationship because they actually are talking to each other. And I understand that your husband wants to help you, but all three of you need to learn this, all right? This is not just one of you doing this. It takes three people to cause a triangulation. We're all going to sit down with her, my husband. Well, that is awesome. And will you have a piece of paper and show them what happened? You see, when they can see it and say, I can't keep being the, yeah, exactly, honey. All right. So just say to them, look, this is what happened. It keeps happening. And I know what's happening. Hubby here wants to protect me. He thinks I'm probably doing a little bit too much. And let's be honest, I probably am, and therefore I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to try and make sure that you two talk to each other, that my husband and I talk to each other, and that my daughter and I talk to each other, but also that I am not doing everything for everybody. It doesn't take long to redraw it. Actually, Boob, it's funny how these things become important. I help people privately. And it's so funny because so often I listen to people, and one of the things I most hear, Boob, is the Disneyland story. Do you know what I mean by the Disneyland story? Yes, but he's meant to do this, 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 and this. And I'm going, Disneyland is over there. We're in reality here. Disneyland is over there. So if you want that sort of a life, you need to go to Disneyland, because that's not what real life looks like. That's only what it looks like in Disneyland movies or Hallmark movies now. All right. And so then, actually Disney movies are pretty real. How many of you remember Bambi? And so, yes, Disney versus reality, right? And then I'll be talking and they'll say, yes, but he's meant to do this, 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 and this. And I'll go, oh, all right, I got it, Disneyland. And have you told him that you want him to do it? No, he's meant to do that. And I'm going, only in Disneyland. You see, in real life, you need to actually say, John, could you take the garbage out for me, please? And if John says yes, you don't then nag him because he's agreed to do it. If 2 hours later the garbage is still there, you go, John, bless your heart, I know you said you're going to do it. I just want to make sure that it's going to be today. And normally they'll go, yeah, I'm getting to it. Okay, fine. And then let it go. By the way, I can remember once helping a woman. Is it always to my left? Well, the reason I'm telling you the story, actually, Boob, hang on a second. The reason I'm telling you the story was that same client that I was doing this with that had so much trouble. She actually made me signs. It was the cutest thing. She made me signs that I could just put up, and it was Disneyland and a big arrow pointing that way. I thought that was so, she really got it. She said, I hate it that you have to keep doing that. And so she made me a sign, and I kept them. There were two things that she kept having a problem with. And when I was trying to teach her what reality looked like, and I had them, and I just go, okay. And then, it got even better, boob, because you know what she'd say to me? I know you're going to pick up that sign for Disneyland. I'm not going there. I understand I'm in Fantasyland right now. And I go, okay, good. And the trick was, we then started to count how many times did I need to pick up the signs. And Beth, is this making any sense to you? Because the interesting thing was that we gauged her progress by how little I needed to bring up the signs. And the sad thing is, when I first met her, boob, she actually was so terrorized by her husband that she used to go to the cupboard, if you can imagine this, and go into the closet and cover herself up with clothes and cry. That is where her self-esteem was when I met her. And I can't remember how she found out about the work that I do, but the interesting thing was that I started to notice a change in her body language. And she'd come in and she'd hang an arm across the back of the couch, and she'd go, something? This happened to me. And I was so angry, and I'm going, have you seen your body language? And she'd go, what? And I said, when you first came here, your body language was like this, as you told me stuff. I said, now listen, you see, and this is what happened. I said, do you see the difference in your body language? What does this look like? This looks like a 5-year-old kid who's done something wrong. And what does this look like? This looks like somebody who's going, don't mess with me. Do you understand the difference? And so, yes, I watch people's body language a lot. I'm a people watcher. Yeah, it does tell you a lot. Yes, I actually I've had people who say to me, can I take you out, to a meal or something, and can we watch people and you tell me what you see in other people? I go, sure. I've had a number of people do that. And I will literally go around the restaurant, the people sitting in the restaurant, and I'll go, have a look at that person there and the person they're sitting with. Do you think they're married, or do you think they are newly in a relationship? Well, how would I know that? I said, watch them. And it's really funny. You think about that. How do married people who've been married a long time, like Nana and Rick, how do people who've been married a long time, when they go to a restaurant, how do they behave that is different from people, for example, who have just met? Or, I want to tell you something, Lizzie. It's great fun to do. I love to do it when people ask me to do that. And then, they'll sit there and they'll go, I never noticed that before. Right? And I'm saying, well, I want you to be aware. I've got people that yes, if you've just met, you're on your best behavior. And everything they say is interesting. Have you noticed that, Boo? Really? Wow. And they laugh a lot, and they do all sorts of things. Right? And they lean forward and they talk to each other. Now, I want to tell you, people who've been together a long time, when they lean forward, it's because they can't hear. It's for a different reason. Actually, something, I found that people who are married talk a lot less. They don't have they don't have what I call a really animated conversation. They will talk. It's fascinating to do, Lizzie. And I in the early days I studied body language a great deal. Right, Nana, so true. All right, Nana's saying that people who be married a long time, they don't need to talk a whole lot because they already know what the other person thinks half the time. And they also If they do talk, they're inclined to say the same thing. Yes, you're right, Nana. And you finish each other's sentences anyway. It's like, what's the point? By the way, it's not just husband and wives. I found it really interesting. I had somebody who worked for me once, and it was really interesting because she came when I was, a professional speaker. She came quite often. If I was speaking locally, she'd come. And one of the things that everybody said was, it's amazing that you don't need to tell her a whole sentence. You start a sentence and she goes, okay, I got it. And they said, what has she just got? You didn't finish the sentence. And I said, no, but she doesn't need me to. She knows that if I start a sentence like that, that this is what's coming. Yes, and Nana is saying, Rick will say, I was waiting for you to say that. I know that already. You're right. Yeah, that's right. And you see, it's really, but you still need to say it. Right. And Lizzie is saying at the beginning of the relationship, we used to talk until 6 a.m., used to talk through the night. Remember those days? And felt great. All right. And Boob's saying married people just text each other now from different floors. Yeah. So hopefully this has helped a couple of people today. And if it has, then it was worth doing it. I want to really thank Beth again for being prepared to be to talk about the triangulation. How many of you found the triangulation helpful to learn a bit more about that? And if so, please make sure you leave comments at the bottom to thank Beth for allowing me to talk about it. You see, Beth, what makes great growth is that you can hear it and understand you're not the only one. Yes, really, again, and I appreciate you, and I was going to get to that, Nana, but you didn't trust that I would. But thanks to Ali for being here and giving us the wisdom of a 19-year-old. Beth, you're doing great. I want you to know that, Beth. You are doing great things. All right? And I am certain that everybody here learned something from that whole discussion. They learned where they are in this. Ali, the interesting thing for me is that you have a great deal to teach a lot of people. And I want to thank you on behalf of everybody here, and hopefully you'll come back and talk to us again, because it's always great to have the conversation through the generations, all right? And it's always, I've always said, if you want to know how to deal with children, talk to children. If you want to know how to deal with men, talk to men. And Ali, you didn't listen. You participated, honey, whether you meant to or not, and we thank you for that. And don't ever think, Ali, that because of your age you don't have anything to offer people, or or that I better not say anything because it's for the other people. What is wonderful is we all learn from each other. Yeah, you learned about isosceles triangles, right? Where the sum of half of one, no, what is it? An isosceles triangle is equal in all sides, right? And that is Beth. Beth, that actually, we want to thank Boob for that. Am I correct in that, Boob? Let me check my facts first. Oh, so this is an acute triangle. Right, this is an acute triangle. And where we were was, okay, that's it. All right, so hang on a second. Let me just draw the, hang on a second. Okay, so this would have been the isosceles triangle where two of the angles are equal and the third one is different. All right. And Nana's saying, if we see God, for those of that who are believers, if you see God as the top one, I would actually not do that, Nana, because we need to take the top one out. And I don't ever want to take God out of the equation. So I can't word it that way, but I know what you're trying to say. Oh, you're saying that you need to take yourself out of here and put God there and let them sort it out between themselves. But sometimes, sometimes I do believe, Nana, that we need to help people along the way. And sometimes you just need somebody to, you teach a lot of people, Nana. I know that you have done. And I also believe that we all have a responsibility to help one another. I mean, that's just my belief. To me, this is like the way we grow is to if you want to learn and grow, teach somebody else, right? And so to me, this is like, it's really important that you understand this, but the reason I show you is so you can be aware of it happening in your own life and go, wait a minute, I just became the third part of a triangle. And that's exactly what Nana says is true. I need to take myself out and start saying, if I take myself out, they're going to have to talk to each other. And sometimes you just need to help them do that. Hey, Nana, you just need to be able to say to them, hey, why don't you text my daughter and tell her that? I'm not sure if it's our daughter or whether it's my daughter, and that's why I'm wording it that way. All right, so great. I really appreciate the fact you're prepared to pick her up. Can you let her know that? You two organize it between yourselves. That is the way to get out of the way, okay? So what I want you to do is to thank you. I hope you see that just having these daily problems come up and talk about them just helps everybody a little bit, because we will all see it a lot more clearly this week. And so, Beth, I'm sending you a huge hug. And please thank your hubby as well for me. Oh, that's interesting. Beth saying, I will never learn if I drop out of the triangle. I need to find the way out of the triangle I put myself into. That is another interesting way, Beth. So that's why you're going to have the group meeting and say, I'm beginning to feel I'm doing something really wrong here. I hear what my husband's saying, and this is what I feel I need to do, but we need to find a different way. I call that an executive meeting, Beth. I literally will do that. I will call an executive meeting. And then I will say, okay, this is what I see going on, and I don't like it. Therefore, we need to talk about it. And this is what I see, but I'd like to hear what you see, and then give everybody an equal chance. Yeah, with coffee and donuts, excellent. All right, but call it, the executive meeting. And I think you're doing a great job, honey. I really do. And if after the executive meeting you still need to work through some things with us, you know, you know where I am. You know how to get hold of me. And it's not that I'll have all the right answers, but hopefully we'll give you another step in the right direction. How's that? You have every reason to be proud of yourself. By the way, Beth sent me a picture of the Canadian geese walking across the road. It was so cute. Okay, you go right ahead and you do that, Beth. And you're welcome to do that anytime. And by the way, if ever you need to vent, it's okay. If you're angry at yourself because you just did it again, write about that, because the writing is actually one of the best things you can do. If you catch yourself, I just did it again, write and tell me that. All right. Because in writing it, you'll be able to see where you were in the triangle and what you did. And then also say, and what I intend to do next time is write all of that. Makes sense. And everybody else that gets caught in this, let's all do that, not just Beth. And if you're watching this on the replay, please, 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 if you relate to any of this, you thank Beth for us. All right. Everybody, remember to look after one another. But like Beth, please remember to look after yourself. Because if you're not looking after yourself, you're not helping anybody. That is the reality that I learned the hard way. All right, everybody, big hug to you all. Thank you for a really interesting discussion. I am so blessed. Ali, thank you for joining in. Nana, thank you for letting that happen, making that happen, whatever influence you had on that. It was wonderful. Hope to see you again. Boob, always good to see you. Lizzie, if you're still with us, big hugs to you both. And let us know the answer, because that is news I'd love to share. All right, everybody, big hugs. We'll see you again. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, thanks for being here. It helps so many people.